Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Allen, your professor for Education 500. Before I get going, I wanted to touch on a couple things. One, apologies. I decided to film this today and I decided to go with full summer bum wear. So I think for an introduction, that's fine. I will be trying to post one of these each week of our summer session class just to kind of give you highlights of what's going on. Number two, just to kind of let you know, I'm going to try to do this in one take. So there's going to be some and things like that. Just kind of roll with it. I just wanted to make sure we're touching base and giving you a little bit of an introduction. And lastly, I wanted to say it's great to see. I think a lot of the class I've had in different classes before, 581, 583, 585. Welcome back. And if I have not had you, welcome to Shepherd, or I hope your Shepherd studies have been going well. So with all that being said, we're going to jump into Ed 500. So again, as I said, my name is Dr. Allen. In case you haven't had me, my background is mostly social studies. I taught middle school, a little bit of high school social studies for about 15 years. I actually did adult basic education a little bit too when I was just starting to teach. I did that for about 2 or 3 years. Mostly secondary. Actually, I'm certified 5 through adult, but I did no lower than 6. So I did 6 through college or 6 to 12. So with all that being said, we're going to talk about ed tech. Couple things with this class. One, I guess it's an important class now. If you are in the classroom right now, I know a lot of you are in high schools, elementary schools, and middle schools. Obviously, things have changed since March. If you know of any technology that should maybe be used in this class, please feel free to email me or suggest anything. It will not offend me. My goals for this class, just to kind of let you know, the main thing that I want to do is just kind of touch base on a lot of different technologies. You know this. We'll basically have a month to cover a lot of different things. With all that being said, it's hard to get really in depth in any one type of technology. So we're going to kind of touch base on some technologies and just make sure you can at least function in it a little bit. Touch base, leave, and kind of go that route. But if you need any help with anything, please ask. I'm not going anywhere in the month of July. I'm available. We can Zoom, we can do phone calls, we can obviously email. So if there's any technology problems, please contact or reach out. I'm pretty flexible with some stuff. Sometimes people have different modes of technology that may not function with what we're trying to do. That's fine. Just email me and we'll see if we can work something out. Pretty flexible on what you can do with this class. And my expectations are basically with the tech itself to make sure that you know how to at least open it, function it, and kind of get it going. I'm not looking for anything usually with most of the tech itself as far as being a major, expansion of something. Some of you probably looked at the email, some of you may not, and it didn't matter either way. I sent out so you can get a little bit of a start going with the class. If you've done some of the tech or tried to work ahead, that's fine. You can submit it as soon as everything's open. That also leads me to the next phase of what I wanted to say. This class, I'm going to go ahead and open everything up for the month of July. So everything you need to do for this class will be open. But I will still kind of touch base each week, kind of telling you what's expected for that week. So if you want to go at it, go at it. You'll see we're going to look at the class here in a few minutes in this recording. So that's just kind of some basic stuff. We're just going to go ahead. I want to look at the syllabus, just kind of go over a few things, especially trouble spots that I've seen with when we've done this class online. Luckily, this is an online class in the spring and the fall, so the transition really hasn't been too out of place. So anyway, with all that being said, let's look at this. We're going to share the screen and hopefully you will see in a second the Shepherd University syllabus for this class. And again, this class is online. It's Ed 500. If you're not supposed to be in Ed 500, make sure you talk to Dr. Johnson because I'm sure she is your advisor. But let's just kind of take a peek here. All right. This is a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but in case you need to know actually what our objectives are. It's to improve your course technology or technology in the classroom. I approach this class quite simply. What are some technologies that I think you can use in the classroom, or technologies that you might use as far as like for your teacher use, like, online planning or grading or learning management systems. There's different ways to look at it. So we're kind of going to try to look at it from a teacher's aspect and from a student's aspect. That's kind of a summary there of the goals. You will need to make sure that you log into Sakai regularly. At least I would, honestly, in a summer class, I would say check in once a day, just to be safe. Take the 10 seconds to do it, even if you've worked ahead. But again, our main primary goal is technology use. Jump back here too. You will have a book that is required. I don't care if it's used, whatever. The book's getting a little dated, but I like a lot of the articles. It's 21st Century Skills, Rethinking How Students Learn. That is what our discussion board is going to be based on. Everything on our discussion board is related around the readings. And in case you're kind of wondering, some people have these in their classes, some don't. 21st Century Skills it's kind of a big hodgepodge of different things that students in this century, it was a big thing at the turn of the century in 2000s, in the early 2000s, but basically skills that students need to succeed in life. It could be critical thinking, it could be technology use, it could be communication. We're going to look at, there's a whole list that I have that I'll talk about a little later, not today on this, but in the class itself, that just kind of gets into it. But again, the discussion board is centered around all that. And again, this is a lot of the more, you're welcome to check this out. I'm not going to go over this word by word, but if you need anything, make sure you contact. There are goals. Please don't cheat. I don't think anyone will, because most of this is technology based. The support center is there. Again, with everything with COVID, things are a little different, so you can't just walk in sometimes, but if you do have problems, make sure you email. Now, this is where we want to get to the nitty gritty, and I'm sure what you're most worried about: assignments and evaluations for the course. There's a lot of different things that you have to do for this course. It's a graduate course, but a lot of it I don't think is complex. It's more or less just making sure you set aside the time and do it, just like teaching. So without the students. So let's kind of just break those down real quick. All right, assignments and evaluations. For this class, what are you required to do? Well, as you can see, this is an online class. You should log in daily just to make sure there's any announcements. When I put announcements up, I also send them to your email. I will be the first to admit I like to email just to make sure that the communication's in there. You will probably get a plethora of emails from me. Some are important, some aren't. So just take the time to kind of check them out. They will probably come with the title, Message Ed 500. All right, this is the first one. The first assignment, you have to do 3 lesson plans for this class. Now, this kind of gets tricky for some and not for others. One thing about this class is everyone's kind of all over the place as far as experience, at least traditionally, experience, how much teaching they've done, how much classroom experience they've had. Some have had years, some have had no classroom experience, some have subbed. Don't be afraid to ask questions if you don't quite understand what's going on with the unit or lesson plans. Now, with that being said, I'm going to show this to you in a few minutes once we go into Sakai. But I decided not to require any type of formal lesson plan template. I have one posted if you want to use it. I don't think it's a bad idea if you want to use it, but I know a lot of you, especially from having you for some of the other 500 classes, you have very nice setups with your lesson plans. You can use those. Now, here's the thing that I want. For these lesson plans, they have to all revolve around a theme. And what I mean by that is the 3 need to kind of form into a small unit. So for example, I think what I put on the syllabus here, I might have, as a social studies teacher, a Renaissance unit. All 3 of my lessons need to be about the Renaissance. They might be different aspects, but they should be about different aspects of the Renaissance. But all 3 should revolve around that. And there needs to be some type of technology reflected in the lesson plan itself. Now, with that being said, I'm not picky. The whole lesson doesn't have to be technology. I just want to see technology in the lesson plan. It could be, when we'll talk about it, Nearpod. It can be Wakelet. I don't care if it's a little bit of Schoolology, if it's something where the students have to go in there. I don't care if it's Google Classroom. I just need to see some technology highlighted. We'll come back and look at that, but you need to do 3 of these. And then at the end, there's an actual checklist where you go back through your units and make sure that you have everything. I'll pull all that up here at the end of this little talk. Also, there is a discussion board. The discussion board is, whoops, let me get back. The discussion board is actually, like I said, framed around your book readings. That's the 21st century skills. Don't rack your brain over that. I'm just looking for some thoughtful responses on that. I put 200 words. I'm not going to go through with a fine tooth comb. You can tell if someone's putting thought into the responses or not. Now, with that being said, you are graduate students. 1 sentence isn't going to do it. 2 sentences isn't going to do it. Most of the time, graduate students are a little wordy or have a lot of thought to some issues, or at least a lot of opinions. So 200 words shouldn't be a problem. But like I say, if you come in at like 199 and it's a good thought, I'm not taking off like 10 points off of it or anything. But there are 10 of them, and they're all 10 based around more of the readings themselves and just kind of issues related to modern classrooms. As you can see, classroom resources, that's something that's probably, in some ways, I think it's the heart of the class. That's going to be the things where you do different technologies. Most of them, like I say, are pretty simple, pretty to the point. One, for example, is Google Classroom. When we used to do this, not everyone was introduced or knew what Google Classroom was. If you're an educator, you probably know what Google Classroom is now, but we'll talk about that a little bit. Also, there is blogging and reflections. Those are on Sakai. They don't have to be long. Those can be a couple of sentences. I just want you to react or reflect on some of the technology that you use during the week and whether you would actually use it in the classroom or not. I'll pull that up here in a few minutes, but you need to post those up, and it's just a reflection. And if you don't like the technology, it's not going to offend me in the least, because I don't want you to use something you don't like or you're not comfortable with. If you love it, that's fine. It's literally going to be something like, I love Nearpod. Nearpod has changed my life. I'm going to use it every day, even if it's a detriment to my teaching evaluations, because it's so awesome. I wouldn't recommend that, but that's just an example. That would be your blog. So don't get your blogs and your discussion posts. That's just to point them out. Don't get them confused. They're 2 different things. This is readings. This is reaction to the tech. This is 200 words. This is just some simple thoughts. As you can see here, here's a whole list of some of the things that we're going to do. I am going to run down it just because I can't help myself. But as you can see, you have 1 lesson plan, a 2nd lesson plan, a 3rd lesson plan, a unit checklist. You have 10 discussion posts. Again, they are all open and ready to roll, but they are plotted out on the syllabus for a timeline also, 10 points each. You are going to create a website. I go back and forth with that, but I like the idea of you creating a website. We'll go over that with the unit. It's very simple. We're going to use Weebly or Wix or Google, actually, but you can use any one that you prefer. By the way, that goes back into the freedom. Some, just like you, I'm better with some technology than others. With the websites, I know Weebly better than I know the others, but I am familiar with Wix and Google a little bit. But we'll get into that when we do it. You are going to do a little bit with Google Classroom, and you're going to put a Quizlet in there. That's something I think a lot of you, either as a student or as a teacher, you've probably done before. You're going to create something with presentation software. That's going to be your Nearpods, Powtoons, anything. It's kind of like your PowerPoint on muscles, so to speak. So you need to do something like that. Again, you'll be provided some options or something that you're familiar with. Edpuzzle is another source that a lot of people like. That was something I noticed in the sprint a lot of people really enjoyed using and kind of implementing. And I think some that we're kind of doing a little bit with some teachers out in the field actually got their teachers to use Edpuzzle during the tech movement with COVID. So there's that. Formative assessment tech, that's going to be your fun tech, Kahoot, things like that. Wakelet is a portfolio system. I like it. I use it. It's very simple to kind of understand, but again, you're going to have to create that. These, by the way, you will all have to send me links or share it with me, or some site you will submit it on Sakai preferably, but if you really have a problem, you can email it to me. Prefer Sakai, email if desperate. If there's some major issue, I've even had people send me a screenshot or two just to kind of make sure that it's done, but we'll worry about that on another day. Video lesson creations. I'm going to double check my wording on this because you're going to create a short lesson using some sort of video technology. You are allowed to use Zoom. I made them use Zoom in the fall or spring, I'm sorry, just to kind of get them used to Zoom. I think most people are probably familiar with Zoom now. I don't care if you use Zoom, Flipgrid, which is very simple to use. Also, one that I was thinking about, if you really want to go whole hog, I'm going to try to get one before the end of the week or two, is swivels. Some schools have swivels. It's a technology that follows you around when you teach. I'll break this a lesson. This is a little more, I'm trying not to break these lessons out too much because I have separate videos for them. But basically, I just want to see something where you're using some sort of video technology and your students are using it, one or the other. Flipgrid is probably the most straightforward. But if you want to really teach, Zoom or the swivel would be fantastic. Fun tech review. These are different types of technologies. Again, some people use in the classroom. Being a social studies secondary person, I really try to focus, make sure I introduce some things that are more elementary, because I know a lot of people are looking to go into elementary education. Seesaw, Easily, Brain Pop, all of these. I have a whole list. They can be very discipline specific. Sometimes people have ideas of what they want to use and they just email me if there's something I don't have on the list you want to try or show. I actually appreciate it because it's technology I might not have thought of. Social media assignment is not as bad as it sounds. I'm not asking you to go on Twitter and tweet anything. I'm not asking you to go on Facebook and do anything. You're going to do some things related to Word, basically making a farce book. It's an assignment I used to do for my students. They usually liked it. It's pretty simple and it's on a Word document, not on actual Facebook. There's other options you can do for that assignment. There's planning and management, classroom management tech. That's just a reaction type activity where you go in and you do different types of learning management technology or planning tech. That was something I wanted you to see because so many people are planning online now. I used planbook.com, still use planbook.com even while I'm working at Shepherd. I think I just want you to kind of see some of that stuff and kind of get your feedback if you think you would use it. Some people still like to use the Write Their Plans Out, and as you can see that I'm writing. I kind of fought it for a while and did both, and then I thought, why am I doing this? This is nuts. I liked planbook.com because I could load all my documents up, just pull it right up online, and go from there. But there are a ton of other planning type softwares or applications that you can use. And classroom management tech, that's kind of just my code for like the one that goes with everything. There's different types of classroom management tech where, of course, Classroom Dojo is probably the most famous. There's some now that you can create avatars besides Classroom Dojo, and they're almost like Warcraft. If you're familiar with any of those, you can check them out. Also, there's some stuff with Schoology. I know I worked with a system called, I think it was called Renaissance or not Sakai, RenWeb. Sorry, couldn't remember it. RenWeb. You could track a lot of discipline type issues and classroom management things with that. Those are our major things that we're going to be doing with software. There's a few other type assignments besides the actual software. Of course, the blog I mentioned a minute ago, you're just going to do 10 blog posts on different technologies that are listed here. Also, this one, I added this. I was going to go whole hog and I didn't think we had the time to do it this summer, so I kind of have lightened it up. But I really think if you haven't had the opportunity, before you go out in the field, or if you have the time, if you are in the field, getting either Apple or Google certified would be a fantastic thing to put on your resume. With all that being said, I'm not asking you to do that unless you want to for this class. I think it would be a good idea, but they're a little more time consuming. All of these softwares have different types of certifications or recognitions that you've completed a step or you're a little better than other people. I just want you to do one of those. I'll send the link. Actually, they're on the Sakai site. or you can just Google them and just send me a screenshot or an image that you did it. Like, for example, I'm Nearpod certified. It took me about a day, and probably making that sound longer than it was. There's also Wakelet. That's probably one I have a feeling a lot of people might want to do. Wakelet, which by the way, I forgot an E there, I'll have to fix. But Wakelet is actually one where you can just go in and it'll say you're Wakelet level 1. That's fine. I just want you to kind of go next level with some of these just to reflect it. You don't have to do Google or Apple unless you want to. I would think about that in the long term, or if you really have nothing to do this summer and you do it now, that would be fantastic. But Nearpod, Edpuzzle, I think even Kahoot might have something now, Quizlet, they're all, if you can find some sort of like thing that says, man, you did this, your next level, that meets the requirements. And then you have to send me or submit a copy of it on Sakai. The last thing, which will probably be the nightmare for you, but it shouldn't be. It's actually pretty easy. It's just something I feel like we have to do for this class. It's a literature review. I don't know how much graduate writing everyone's done. I know some Shepherd professors are starting to implement more and more graduate writing type activities in their class, or it's stressing it more. For this class, I'm asking for a literature review. There are examples online or in Sakai. There are also, and when I mean examples, I mean there is a video and there is actually an example of a literature review, just to kind of give you the broad definition of the literature review. What you have to do is you have to pick a topic. It can be anything tech related or 21st century skill related. I don't care which one. And when you go in there, you're just going to find a bunch of writings, research on that topic, and you're just going to comment on it with it. So for example, if you wanted to do something on, well, you know what, I'm just going to use my dissertation because it was the easiest thing. When I wrote my dissertation 12 years ago, I did it on the monotheistic religions and world history, high school world history textbooks from 2001 to 2007. So when I went to do that, obviously I have to do research on it. All the research that I did on that topic was in the literature review, and I just kind of talked about what the authors were talking about and such in that literature review. I'm not looking for a long one. The page requirement, I'll show you. Do I have it on here? Why do I not have it listed on there? I'll show you when we get to the actual assignment. But the literature review actually needs to be, you know, I say it should be 8 to 10 pages. If it's a little less, that's fine. I'm really looking at the sources. Needs to be APA. If you do not have an APA handbook, make sure, I would recommend going ahead and getting one. But if not, go to Purdue OWL. They have a lot of the outlines and requirements for APA citations and such. Just being graduate students, MAT, I know this is more of a practice-based graduate degree. That's what I have. But still, if you do decide that you want to go on and do something else, it's best to have a little bit of practice with graduate type writing. This isn't something where I'm going to come out with my claws out when I look at it. I'm more interested in just your thoughts and such. Obviously, it does need to have, you know, reflect effort, spelling checks and things like that and wordings. But if you need help, just make sure you contact me. And there's a whole section on Sakai I have on the literature review. So those are the assignments. Again, you're not tied down to any type of time restraints. Yeah, well, yes, you are. Sorry, you do have time restraints. You can work ahead, I guess is what I'm saying. So you don't, week 1, lesson plan 1 is due. I'm not stopping you though if you want to just go whole hog and just submit all 3. So anyway, those are the assignments. Email if you have any questions on those, and there's your point totals again if you need to see them, and due dates. All right, if you look at the syllabus, I've tried to color code it. I kind of think like that, so I thought this would be a good idea. First week, anything in yellow is what is due week 1. That will be, it's due by the 12th. Anything in this, we'll call it red, this ready color, anything in that block is actually due on the 19th. And anything in the blue is due the 26th. And anything in the purple is due on the 2nd. I do need everything by August 2nd so I can get your grades in. As you can see, there's an outline. And I will tell you, we're going to look at Sakai here in a moment. But I do want you to kind of understand that when I did this, I tried to break it up. I didn't want to just do one super week. So when we go in the Sakai, you're going to notice they're kind of going to be in 3 blocks. So you can click on different things, but I'll show you that here in a second. I thought it would just help a little bit instead of just doing one super massive type thing. That is the syllabus, because this is a bunch of accreditation type stuff. But if you have any questions, please email me. If you catch any errors or any goofiness on there, feel free to contact me. I'd much rather know. My ego is not big enough to really worry about stuff like that. I would much rather know that there's something that's not lining up than to not. Like my wakelet spelling there, I didn't notice that. So, all right, let me get out of there. And if you look, when you go to your Shepherd homepage, I'm assuming most everyone knows how to log into Sakai. If you go to our Sakai page, there's everyone's face. Let me go ahead and get out of there real quick. All right, let's go home. All right, our homepage. Announcements will all show up over here. They will go to your email. If you need the syllabus, it's right there. If you really run into some major headaches, everything is on this left-hand side. Again, there's your announcements. Syllabus is already up. I'll probably post it and repost it a couple of times before it's all said and done, but I think everything's pretty good. A lot of it's more nitpicky stuff on my part. Resources. Resources is a pretty important page, only because anything that I post on Sakai also shows up in here. If you can't find a handout, chances are you can find it in here. I actually put standards. One thing you'll notice, there are text standards in West Virginia. I'll mention those later, but there's the West Virginia tree. EDUC500 links if you're really interested in that type of stuff, which is actually very important for a lot of you, especially coming up. And there's our weeks with the content. As you notice, don't worry about those numbers. That was actually spring dates. I just moved the files over, but they're week ones and such. I'll probably rename those to make things a little easier for you. But anything that you cannot find as a handout, it will be in resources. And if you really get desperate, just email me. Your assignments are all here. I'm going to go into student view so you can kind of see what it looks like. And that's where you will submit everything. Everything should be pretty much set up. And as you can see, all the due dates are right there in red. Red is important. That's when it's due. If you really are confused about when something's due, go to assignments and look at the due date. I did make sure that they're all signed up. So as you can see, our first week, you got a Google Classroom, a website, 2 blogs, a lesson plan, and a sample electronic planning due the first week, plus the discussion board. So there's a lot to kind of do. And again, I'll send out something after the fact, kind of outlining what else due. And I'll probably send in announcements. But as you can see, it's a lot in a little bit of time. I don't think any of this is hard. It's just, you got to make sure you set aside the time to get it done, because a month will sneak by pretty fast. When you do your blog post, you will just click right here. As you can see, you just add a blog entry. You can just put blog 1 and just say, love Nearpod. It was fantastic, changed my life. Hate Kahoot, because I don't feel that students are going to be getting what they need to, because they're going to be more worried about beating each other. Any of that stuff works for me. I just want to see what your thoughts are on it. There's the form. That is our discussion board. As you can see, they're all already up and ready to roll. Again, the articles are right there. 5 Minds for Our Future. These are the articles that you will be reading and reacting to. And again, it will not offend me in the slightest if you don't like the articles or you're a little hard on them. There's the first one's on Gardner, which I know some of us, we've talked about that in class. He gets into a little bit of that. And as you can see, new policies. Like I say, the book, I think the book was published in 2010. I'd have to go back and look. To me, that doesn't seem that long ago. It's 10 years. A lot's happened in 10 years. But I do think these articles, I was kind of picky about the articles I picked. I think they're all still pretty relevant for today. Books should not have been hopefully too expensive. You can usually find it on Amazon and such pretty cheap, but hopefully you already have it. If you have questions about the lesson plan, Lesson plan information is all right here. As you can see, I already have a video up. And there's the lesson plan template if you want to use it. Again, you are not required to use my template. I just have it there in case you need it. But let me go ahead and pull it up for you real quick. Sorry, my Mac's a little goofy sometimes, but that's all right. It's all good. There you go. And as you can see, it's a plug and play. Like I want certain types of, objectives. And by the way, you can take all this stuff out. It's just kind of where the place is. Like if you're going to do knowledge objectives, which is defined right there. If you do those, you can just cut them and paste them in there. As you can see, there's your West Virginia state standards. If you're an art teacher, you're going to be putting your art standards. I wouldn't mind, I did post them up. If you could put the tech standards or the tech objectives in there, I would appreciate it mucho a lot. Just because it helps me kind of see what your vision is and like students, because that is that 21st century learning that's getting in there. But these are your students will be able to, boom, boom, boom. And as you can see, I did model this a little bit after Dr. Tuttle's template. If you've had Dr. Tuttle, I think a lot of times that makes things easier for other people. But again, you are not tied down to this template. I just want to see the content itself and what we need, what I actually need to see. There's the checklist there. It's also in about 5 other places, but there we go. But as you can see, this is the stuff I'm really looking for in the lesson plans itself. And you do need to complete this checklist, for lesson 1. Did you have standards? You're just going to kind of highlight what the standards are that you were going to do. Yes, you can cut and paste. Just a quick summary of the procedures and what you're doing. What's the technology? What skills, 21st century skills are in that lesson plan? What assessments you're going to do. Really, if you have those things, awesome. You do need to fill this out. This is the last thing you're actually going to submit. I have optional 4th lesson plan if you want to do it. You do not have to. It's just 3. And of course, you'll put your standards. But you just fill it. It's a plug and play type thing. And let me go back here. And as you can see, there's the rubric too for the lesson plans if you want to see it. Can we click it? Yeah, there it went. Awesome. As you can see, there's the rubric. And I'll grade those. And I will try my best to get everything graded back to you pretty quick. Sorry, let me see something here. So you can go, there we go. All right, that's the lesson plan. As you look here, here's the literature review. That's how to do a literature review video. That one is, pretty straightforward. It's going to sound more complicated than I really think it ever should. But as it says here, I have a little note. Please just do the best you can. I don't know how much everyone's done something like this, so I'm not expecting, obviously I've had a lot of you in class. You're all brilliant, but also don't freak out that if it's not quite what ready to go to publishing or anything like that. That's not the point of this. So if you need it, there's some potential topics. I put someone here, maybe. There we go. These were ones actually off of a list that I was just reading this summer. Things you could do: professional learning, AR, virtual reality, which is something I wish we had more time to do in this class. That might be something you can get into. Honestly, it's not on here. You could get into some of the issues related to what's been going on since March with the COVID stuff and the approaches to education, what works, what doesn't work, things like that. That's all good stuff. Student-centered learning is always a nice 21st century type topic. You are welcome to ask me anything that you want related to this to get approval. There's the rubric. Let's make sure we look at that real quick. Slowly. Come on, rubric. Uh-oh. Come on, rubric. Move my face down there. Let me go back here. Let's get that. All right. Well, let's see. We can get some of this off. Sorry, guys. Let's see if why is it not working? I'll probably send something back out with that and fix that for you. Apologies. All right, there's the literature review. But again, I'll probably send something out ad nauseum with this just to make sure that you're good with that. All right, enough with me babbling. All right, as you can see, there are the weekly assignments. I'm not going to click on each one. I do want to make one point with this. As you can see, there's one that says week 1 intro. Week 1 intro, week 1. This is what I was talking about when I said I broke it up into parts. So you see, when you click on there, it's going to take you to week 1. There's recording. I want to make one note just to make sure I say this. I'm going to be sending out one. It won't be as long as this video. It'll probably be 10 minutes or less. But I do want you to know these videos, I try to make them as general as possible. A lot of these are the ones I used in the spring. I decided not to reinvent the wheel. If I happen to say a date that's in spring or something, I try not to do that stuff. But if I did, don't freak out. Just trust your syllabus or anything like that. You're welcome to email me and say, hey, there's a weird date on here. You're talking about something I have no clue what you're saying. That's fine. I'll fix it. But I'll go back through and re-listen to them. So if you click on your weekly things, by the way, boom, and boom, go back to that one. As you can see, all your assignment links are right there. So you really, as long as you click your weekly things, you're fine. Awesome. As you can see, there's technology standards, 21st century skills, that video on Google's arts and education. I'll talk about that in a minute. There's this link to the discussion board. The only thing that is not on here is the blog. You got to click on the blog over there. And there's another week 1. You're going to do a website. The website does not need to be complicated. I'll send out another video next week with that right off the bat. But there's a bunch. You do not. Oh, this is a big one. Again, you do not need to do Weebly, Wix, Google, etc. You just need to pick one and do it. This is a sample website that I used to use for my students and the benefits of doing it. But as you can see, there's a lot there. This is why I try not to put everything in one. There's also some things related to some of the old plan sites, plan book chalk. I'll mention all this a little bit later. But as you can see, links are in these things. Check them out. Check them out. Google Classroom, which is probably the most important thing for this week or this first week. But I have a feeling most of you are probably fantastic. I do need to be invited into your Google class. I will send out my Google link a little later. Actually, usually it works with my Shepherd, but sometimes I have to send my Google link to people for, I guess it's the settings, but just try to invite me. I have to be invited to see your Google class. There's a very basic stuff that I'm asking, like an announcement when assignment post and the class creation or something along those lines. So that's that. And you can see those are your 3 things for week 1. Week 2 does the same thing. Boom, boom, boom. Week 3, boom, 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 boom. And then boom, boom, boom for week 4. So you just click on those and get them done. And that's kind of the class. I will get that literature review rubric posted up. I don't know why it's not opening. That's a little quirky. Let me see something real quick. I know you all don't care about this with me just babbling, but I just want to see if it's there. There you go. There is on the assignment. I do have the little thing there, and I wanted to double check my page. I told you 8 to 10, and I wanted to make sure I was not too crazy there. APA. Oh, look at that. I said 8 to 10, and I'm nicer than I thought. 5 plus. So if it's 5 pages or plus, that's fine. And actually, I'll stick with that since I've officially said it on video. 5 pages or more, double space APA. On here, I was looking for the sources requirement. I do have that. I always think you need to have, it's on the rubric. Oh, there it is. 7 or more sources are expected. As you go down, that is something that could affect your grade. So make sure you pick a topic. And by the way, it can be anything. It can be a video, it can be a website, it can be a book, it can be an article. Please stay away from blogs, only because they're not always usually the most research type thing. But it can be anything like that. And just cite them and make sure you have a good works cited page. You can have more than 7. And if you have to do some sort of capstone in another class, this might be something that you could build on. So anyway, pick a topic that you're interested in. That's probably the most important thing, more than anything. So, all right, there it goes. I thought there was something. I'll make sure the rubric link is up though. I got to go back and double check that. That is the class by and large on itself. One thing I do want to show you really quickly is this one thing is that's going to be on the discussion board. I want everyone to do as an icebreaker is going to be the Google Arts and Culture site. If you go there, now I'm going to pull this up. And the funny thing is, let me get out of this real quick. Google Arts and Culture is a site that has some cool stuff. What you're going to have to do the first week, as you can see if you click on there. Some of you have probably done this before, but as you can see, they have a lot of links. If you are a social studies teacher, English teacher, art teacher, language teacher, science teacher, I even think math, can you integrate the arts a little bit with your STEAM? This is all good stuff. But I'm going to want you to take an art selfie, and I'll show you what it does. You will need to do it on your phone or an iPad or something like that, and you will need to share it on the discussion board to see who you look like. But you are going to take a picture of yourself, a selfie. I just did it before I did this video. And you are going to, and I'll show you real quick, you are going to need to post it on the discussion board and share it with everyone and just kind of give a little brief intro to yourself. You can also say whether you really think this looks like you or not. Let's see if I actually did the assignment correctly. I emailed it to myself. I haven't posted it yet, but I'll show you. This is probably pretty exciting watching me sign into my email, I'm sure. Hope you're enjoying it. Here we go. Slowly, slowly, slowly. And of course, up. There it is. Look at that. And so there it is. And then I will get a bunch of photos of myself, as you can see there. There's me, and it says I matched that piece of art, 49%. Actually, one thing that you can do, I don't know if I can go over, there's other ones too. You'll get about 10. You can actually click on the art itself, and it should take you to a little background on that where you can find the art, the artist itself and such. But that is my face matched up on that. That's not really a good match. I probably shouldn't have my hat on, or my glasses, or probably should have shaved also. There's a lot wrong with me on that. But as you can see, but actually it's kind of impressive because it's got the little beard there and such, and you know, little fat cheeks. So no, it's not a bad one. 50%. I think last semester, the best match we had someone that was like 83%, and it was actually kind of scary. She looked just like the painting that was done in the 19th century. So anyway, you will need to do that. And when you do this, you can just slide it on. You're going to post it up on the discussion board. It's supposed to just be fun. It's an icebreaker to kind of see how everyone is, what everyone's doing, and who they look like. So post it up there. You can just briefly say, hi, I'm Jason Allen. I work at Shepherd University, and I don't know if this painting looks like me or not. I'm not for sure. I'll have to ask my family. But that's basically what's being asked of you. So with all that being said, whoops, no sharing, stop share. There we go. That is it. I hope we have a great class. Like I say, seeing the roster, I think we'll rock it. If you have any questions, please email me. We'll work something out as far as communication, or probably can just solve it on the email itself. Pace yourself. I know everything is open. Just make sure you're still doing a good job. Sorry this video was a little long. I won't ever do a video quite this long, but I am talkative, and I thought we needed to do one since we're not meeting face to face. I will get that literature review fixed. That's actually going to be number one on my list this afternoon. I will have this class opened up probably on the 5th. I know it says the 6th, but I'll make sure it's up. And if you've worked ahead a little bit, I know I sent that email. That's fine if you want to go ahead and submit some things. I know it's a lot of stuff. Like I say, don't let any of that tech stuff get the better of you. I'm just looking to see if you can use it, or at least kind of get familiar with it. I'm not really trying to split the atom here with like Nearpod or Kahoot or things like that. It's a little bit of familiarity, especially for you people who haven't had a chance to see some of this stuff in the classroom yet. So with all that being said, I hope you're having a great summer. Look forward to it. Hope your summer classes in the first part went well. And I will talk to you, I guess, the whole month of July. Talk to you later. Bye.